Hello and welcome to my shitty first draft of Skip the Small Talk. This was something that I feel like is a combination of an impulsive decision, but the build-up of something that I've been putting off for ages and ages and ages. And that's why the reason that I call it my shitty first draft, because I got to a point where I think because I know that I'm impulsive, I sometimes go the opposite direction. Like I put off things because I think, you're going to impulsively jump into this and then you're not going to stick to it and then it's going to be embarrassing. So I won't do it. But then this has been something that's been lingering for such a long time. And then I thought, do you know what? Let's just do it. And the shitty first draft that I talk about comes from MJ, who's one of my favorite people to follow on the internet. I will link them in the description. And one of the things that they talk about a lot is when you're somebody who is like me, creative, neurodivergent, perfectionist, you will often get so caught up in all of the details that you won't just start. So you'll say you want to launch a podcast, you'll spend ages looking at the different platforms, the equipment that you can buy, the places that you can host it, the styling of your logo, the font you're going to use, the colors you're going to use, the studio you're going to use, all of this stuff. And you think that you tell yourself that you're actually just trying to get it perfect, but actually you're just procrastinating, you're just not doing it. So MJ's advice is post the shitty first draft. So this is what I'm doing, posting the shitty first draft of my podcast. And yeah, what is a podcast going to be? I don't really know yet, but I'm using the shitty first draft not just for the first episode, but that concept for the podcast as a whole. So I think the thing that has scared me the most about starting a podcast is the commitment. We all know Gal's got commitment issues, but yeah, the thought of every day, not every day, you don't want an episode from me every day. Every week, I'm going to have to go to a fancy studio and organize guests and be on my best self and have the energy to do that and do my makeup and do my hair and do all of these things and set it all up and blah, blah, blah. And I'm I know that as somebody with very fluctuating energy levels, that ain't gonna stick. So then I was like, what if the podcast doesn't have to be this perfect thing that is heavily produced and fancy guests and all of this stuff? What if it is just a shitty first draft podcast? What if it is just actually I'm just going to explore long form content? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to chat and I'm going to see if I enjoy chatting. I'm going to see if people enjoy listening to me chatting and take away those things that make me scared to commit. Because if I'm scared to commit to a podcast, there's a reason. It's probably just not something that I should be doing if it's something that makes me scared to commit. Whereas it's something that if it's low lift, that it's I can just do it where I am with the equipment that I already have in my studio, or if I'm away somewhere, I can just do it wherever. And if I don't want to come to my studio, I can record it from my bedroom because I'll still have all the equipment and all of the sort of scary things of I don't have to organize guests, so I don't have to do extra admin. So it takes away the scariness of the commitment, I think. And yeah, allows me to just exist. And I think actually, not only do I need to do the shitty first draft first episode, not only do I need to do the shitty first draft of a podcast in general, but I think I also just need to be more shitty first draft. Because I think, yeah, I've spent so much time over the last couple of years talking about unmasking and being myself and, working with my brain rather than against it and all this stuff, which I definitely do in some areas. But I do think I still, in the same way that you would do all of that over preparing before launching your creative project, I think I do a lot of that before anything of talking to people. I'm always so over aware of how I'm behaving, and I'm always so over aware of not wanting to make plans with somebody until I know that I'm going to definitely be able to do those plans, because I don't want to miss my one chance of their friendship, or not posting something because I don't want to I want to make sure that I've worked out the perfect way to frame it and post it before I've wasted my chance of posting it. Where it's actually that is just masking. That is still masking, just masking it in a slightly different way. And I don't want to do that anymore. So yeah, I'm doing the shitty first draft. I'm being a shitty first draft and just, yeah, giving it a go. So what is the pod going to be? Is probably a helpful thing for me to start with and let you know. And I've already rambled a lot before doing that. But yeah, skip the small talk is something that I thought of a few months ago as a concept of a way to find that balance of the fact that I want to skip the small talk is inherent to me being autistic, because I don't like small talk. I don't do it. So it's inherent to my neurodivergence, but doesn't require me to only talk about neurodivergence. And the small talk, skipping the small talk doesn't have to be talking about autism and ADHD, because I think that's something that, again, would be something that I would be not want to commit to, because I'm just a bit tired. I'm a bit tired of talking about the same topic over and over again. obviously it then like comes up all the time, so it doesn't really make sense to people where I'm like, right, I'm done talking about that, and then like I just continue to talk about it all the time. But yeah, I think the thing that I struggle with is feeling like an educational robot rather than a human being. And that was sort of a choice I made for a long time, of like only posting sort of like content about that. But then I was like, actually, hang on, I'm now just masking on the internet rather than masking in real life, or as well as masking in real life. So I'm trying to broaden out of that and just be Ellie rather than Ellie Middleton, neurodiversity expert, if that makes sense. So I feel like Skip the Small Talk allows me to find that balance where it's like, I'm not abandoning that, because obviously that's what I like. My purpose is to talk about that and to raise awareness and to change people's perceptions of like what some ADHD looks like, and to help people feel seen and heard and like find relatable content. But it allows me to just like, skipping the small talk can be anything. I can be skipping the small talk about something that's happened this week and going into a big brain dump about that, or I can be skipping the small talk about relationships and doing an episode about relationships. I don't think anyone wants to hear that from me. But or I can also, like, later down the line, if I do want to start committing to getting guests on, I can skip the small talk with guests and not do the like sort of normal podcasty questions. I can just be like, so here's a big question, let's get straight to it, skip the small talk. So it felt like a nice concept that has a nice little ring to it, and also just like allows me quite a lot of freedom and a lot of being able to talk about what I want to talk about, while still having the influence of the fact that I'm neurodivergent, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So yeah, I'm just going with it. I'm giving it a go. It's something that I can hopefully like explore being Ellie a little bit more in, and share just being Ellie with you rather than like this sort of like perfect 60-second educational content. And just chat, which hopefully will be nice. Yeah, I mean, I hope I hope my voice isn't too annoying to listen to. A lot of you have listened to the audiobook, so that fills me with hope. Although, even if I hear like a little bit of a sample of the audiobook, it makes me want to like crawl into a hole and die. So I don't know how you all listen to that for like 6 hours, times 2 if you've listened to both books. So hopefully I won't want to die when I'm editing this, but you'll enjoy it. And you'll find some sort of like relatability in it, hopefully, and maybe feel like you know me more as a person rather than the like bright, shiny person that I put out there on the internet at the moment. Something else I wanted to sort of like tied to that I wanted to talk to you about today was I saw a TikTok. This is probably how it's all going to go, of like me seeing one thing and then it's going to spiral off into a big, like, you know how it goes when you have a brain like mine, and it's like one thing sort of like triggers a massive like web of thoughts, but sort of related to letting myself just be the shitty first draft and just showing up as I am and being the person that I am rather than overthinking everything beforehand. I saw a video on TikTok and it was talking about how you know, like in the same way that colours have either warm undertones or cool undertones, it was saying like, if you're a person who has never been able to feel like the cool girl, like you have always just felt so far away from the cool girl, like you can't go with the flow, you can't play it cool, you can't like be that like unbothered queen who is like able to just like let people do their thing and not bothered if like, I don't know, people don't like them or people aren't texting them back, or like not too keen or not too much. If you've never been able to feel like the cool girl, maybe you're just a warm girl. Like maybe you don't have cool undertones in your personality. Maybe you have warm undertones in your personality where you are caring and you are kind and you are like supporting and you want to be there for people and you want to make them smile and you want to impress them and you want to do nice things and you want to be like a nice little warm hug of a person. And I really liked that. And I think something that I have definitely like noticed in myself over the past couple of years is that like I've always been the warm person, right? I've always been the warm person, and I've always been a people pleaser level 20,000. But because of the hurt that came from that and the amount of times that like basically everybody that I've ever let in and been warm to has left me and hurt me, like I have like one best friend that I've had for like a long period of time. Other than that, I have probably like I can count on one hand the amount of friends I still would consider friends from like pre-diagnosis and all of this happening. And other than that, then the other people that I would call friends are new friends, but we'll get back to that. But yeah, I've always been hurt basically. Everyone that I've let in has abandoned me, and that obviously I know now is because of being autistic, and that I just rub people up the wrong way and I don't realize I'm doing it, and people didn't know that about me, and so it was sort of misperceived what I was doing and misunderstood me. And then I think that has led to me sort of stopping the warm undertones from coming through. But I still don't have any of the cool undertones. So I can't switch to the other side of the scale of like not caring. So I just have like nothing. I just go to like grey, almost in the middle. And I think that's like been something that, yeah, I've been so aware of. Like, I have stopped being that one person to a certain level. Like, I'm still pleasant to people, I'm still nice to people, I'm still a people pleaser, but all at a safe distance. You know, like, I have kept all of those new friends that I was touching on a second ago. I feel like my thoughts are all unraveling as they happen, so hopefully this makes sense when it comes out. But yeah, I think I have kept all of my like new friends. I call them friends, but I've probably kept them in more of like an acquaintance category, because I've kept everyone at arm's length. Everyone's at a safe distance. Like, a lot of people I will only like mostly speak to online or see them like not very often at events, and I won't go to people when I'm upset about something, or like when something, you know, it's all very like surface level conversation. Like, it's like dip in and out, talk about something and then leave. And I think a lot of the time it's these like trauma responses where it's like, it makes sense why I would not want to be the warm person anymore, and I would not want to let people in, because I've seen the hurt of that. But then it feels really sad to look back and be like, oh, that was something that was like so intrinsic to me, that I am just like the nicest person to people, and I do care so deeply, and I will like do anything for anyone. And then I've sort of like lost that, because I just like keep everyone at arm's length. And yeah, I think that was something that I was like, oh, maybe for me, being the shitty first draft means I am just that one person. I just let that one person exist. And yeah, sometimes there does need to be like boundaries around that, of like, don't keep pouring energy and warmness into people that are just like draining that from you. But actually, it's okay if you're just a warm person. You don't have to try and aim for being a cool person. You can just, yeah, be warm, which might sound like a really sort of obvious thing to point out. But yeah, I think it's something that I'm really, really trying to do at the moment, is like, just, I feel like I've built over the last couple of years a really high walls around myself, because I've needed to. You know, my whole life has changed. My whole career has changed. Like, I know, like, this time 3 years ago, I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD, wasn't diagnosed with autism, was working in a job that I was getting like minimum wage for, that was really stressful for me, was in an awful relationship, was, you know, just a million miles away. Like, that person would not have ever believed this person existed. So there's no wonder that I've had to just be in survival mode, because I've just been going. Like, I've been doing things and on to the next thing and on to the next thing and change and all of this stuff. But because it's all been positive and positive change, I didn't like realize how much that change was still like inherently difficult for me. Because it was always like, oh, well, there's no reason that this is stressful, because it's like, you're doing better things and you have nicer people around you and you're earning more money and you have more freedom. So why would that be stressful? But it's like, it's still change. So I think without knowing, I thought that I was like unmasking and letting my guard down on all of this stuff. But I was actually just like removing certain parts, but still in this like robot mode almost. And I think, yeah, I've just been like going, achieving, doing next thing. I feel like I'm like that Lady Gaga, another club, fight. I don't even know what she says. You know which one I mean. And I've lost my train of thought now. This is probably going to happen a lot. Yeah, I have really not been much of a human being, like, in terms of I've not done much outside of work stuff, because work stuff has like taken all of my energy. And then like when I've been at home, I just wanted to lie in bed and recover. So I wasn't like doing different activities, or like doing a hobby, or going to the gym, or doing any of those things, because I was just like basically going to London, using all my energy up on a few days of work, and then coming home and lying in bed over the weekend to recover. So there was like that side of it. But also, like, sort of tied to that as well, like in terms of like friendships and the people around me, I have not let anybody in. Everybody has been kept at arm's length. Everybody has been kept so controlled. And I have been so aware all the time of, yeah, how I'm behaving and how I'm being, and how like not being too much, basically. Because I think that was like that's the one that still stings. That's the one that still cuts really deep, of like, I genuinely believe, like, have a belief system. Like, I don't want to believe this, I don't choose to believe this, but it's still stuck there, that I am too much. Like, I am inherently too much, and that like I always feel like I'm having to like sort of rein myself in and like hold the floodgates sort of to like let little like drips of me out at a time to like not scare people away. And that's something, again, it's the warmness that's dripping through. There's nothing like bad with it, there's just so much of it. And I think that's something that I've been so conscious of, is because before I used to just let it out, and I used to just be myself, and I used to just pour all of this like love onto people, and then they didn't like that. They were overwhelmed by it. They would run away. So I think now I've sort of gone too far the other way of like, the floodgates are too strong. Like it's a watertight. There's no warmness able to drip through, other than sort of like surface level warmness, do you know, of like pleasantness rather than warmness and love, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to let myself just be, and I think part of that, be the shitty first draft, I'm going to keep saying it, but also like let the warmness out. Like, so what if someone thinks that it's too much? Like, I'd rather someone think that I was too kind than like too not kind, you know. It's not the worst thing that someone could think of, like, oh my god, this person is so loving, they're so caring, they are so nice to me. Because like some people aren't going to like it, some people are for some reason scared away by that, but they aren't my people. And I think it's so much easier said than done. And I think I've done a lot of the like saying, I've done a lot of talking the talk, but I've not done a lot of walking the walk, I think, with unmasking and actually letting people in and being myself. And part of me being myself and unmasking is letting that warmness out and letting myself bring sunshine to people's lives and love them and let them have the chance to love me. And actually something that I talk about in therapy a lot with this as well is that like when I go into social situations, I freeze up so much because I'm so hyper aware of like wanting to come across well. Like I want so desperately for people to like me in these situations. So I go like stiff almost. And then it's like, well, no wonder they're not going to like you because you're stiff. Whereas like the person that I am when I'm most myself, when I'm the most shitty first draft I can be, is when I'm with my brother. I think like my brother gets me more than most people because, well, we're the same. We have like the exact same experiences. We have the same, we work in the same ways. We're both autistic and ADHD. I hope he's okay with me saying that. But yeah, we're very similar, and we've obviously like, he's the person that I've grown up with my whole life. So I am probably the most Ellie out of anybody with Lewis, and Lewis is my brother, in case I didn't say that at the start. And I was like saying to my therapist, I was like, it actually makes me really sad because like the person that I'm able to be with Lewis when I am just myself, I'm being like silly, I'm being funny, I'm singing in the car, I'm like making jokes, I'm like doing stupid like dancing, I am just like existing in pure, no shame, no holding back Ellie warmness. Like I love that person, she's so nice, like anybody would be silly not to like her. And it makes me sad that I'm like, well, if my aim here is to get people to like me or to like build proper friendships and connections and feel like I belong somewhere and have a nice time and be loved and be cared for and be accepted, then the best chance I have of getting that is doing the exact thing that I'm being afraid of doing in the hopes of being liked. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's all counterproductive. It's all like you're holding yourself back to try and make these people like you, but they'd be more likely to like you if you were that better version of yourself when you just exist. But it just doesn't seem to happen. Like I think I've like made that connection of like, actually they would like me more if I was able to be that person, but then you still, I don't know, it just happens, doesn't it? It's not like a conscious choice where you go into a room and you're like, I'm gonna mask tonight. It just sort of kicks in, doesn't it? And then you're like, why can I not get a single sentence to come out of my mouth? Like, why am I just stood here like a rabbit in the headlights? But we're working on it, and hopefully you can see here that like I feel less rabbit in the headlighty here. I feel like I am just like, what? I can feel like there's like a double train of thought. Like I'm trying to keep on the train of thought of talking to you. But there's also a train of thought of like, what the heck are you on about? Like no one's going to find this enjoyable. Like you're going to ruin it all. You've built up this platform and audience and a lovely community over the space of 2 years, and they're all going to listen to one episode of this and go, who the heck is this gal? But I'm sure you relate. I know you do, because every like little snippet that I've shared of it before, you've related to. We're all in the same boat. But yeah, essentially I'm hoping that in life I can start to be more myself and start to let people in and start to let the warmness shine. And also through longer form content, I'm going to have the chance to do that as well, of being more Ellie on screen and through your headphones and yeah, just letting myself be that funny, nice gal, and not being concerned about trying to be the cool gal on the internet or the educational gal or the gal who's gonna, I don't know, any of these different, just being Ellie and a shitty first draft of Ellie and knowing that that's okay. And that's essentially what I'm hoping for with the pod. I might keep this one short today just as a first one because, again, removing all barriers because I know that I've got to now edit this and then clip it up and then post it. So if I keep it nice and short and sweet, it's more likely that it's going to happen. And also more likely that you're going to listen to it because I know that you probably don't have the attention span to sit down for an hour. And normally I would say listen to podcasts in 2x speed, but you probably don't need to when it's me speaking. So I'm going to wrap it up there for today. That was a big brain dump ramble. We definitely skipped the small talk. We went straight into trauma and all of the things I hate about myself. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you thought because I'm going to need some, like that RSD is RSDing already and I've not even posted yet. So I'm going to need some love and support. So please let me know what you thought. Please let me know what you want me to skip the small talk and talk about. Please let me know what you'd like to see and hear and all of those stuff. And yeah, I'm not good at endings. I know I feel like it's that thing that ends of a Zoom call when you're like, okay, bye. But yeah, okay, bye. Love you. See you soon. Bye.